Welcome. And yeah, that was Vostok's music in the intro there. And
Yeah, it
hopefully it
sounded
doesn't
great.
hopefully it doesn't get muted in the archive. Usually YouTube will keep it up though. So but yeah, listening to it live there. And basically we are just about to get started here with the June Toronto Electronic Music Producers online meetup, and so I think everyone here is been at the previous meetup, so you guys know how it works. Producers send in their music, and we put everyone's name in a list, and we spin the wheel and randomly pick. And then we go around the table here in Zoom and talk and give feedback. Um, The music playback is on Twitch as well. We have it going on for backup purposes, my YouTube channel and Twitter. But twitch.tv, I'll put it in the chat here. So we do have people tuned in who are not participating in Zoom as well. And just trying to find the chat window here. Bear with me. Okay. Uh, Yeah, we're just about to have a long weekend here up in Canada, Canada Day. So happy Canada Day weekend to all. And all right, well, I think that pretty much covers it. So yeah, like once again, I got a bunch of excuse me, tracks in from people. So, and we might be able to play two tracks tonight, by the way, if it says we don't have a big group. So we'll go through once, and then optionally we'll see how it goes, and we can always go around again. And so yeah, right before starting the live stream, we were talking about Canada's Wonderland and the Kingswood Music Theatre and all the concerts we have seen there over the years, including Depeche Mode and or some of the ones you saw there, Tiny Bites and Jeff.
Yeah, I saw you know some more standard acts like Joni Mitchell. I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan. Who
Oh
else
yeah,
did I see there?
oh yeah.
Um, I
I
saw
saw the
other.
Smiths as I mentioned earlier. That was a pretty
Yeah,
great
Smiths. I
show.
would have liked to see them. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
yeah.
Dada, I want to say.
Oh
So
yeah.
many. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, some good acts.
I even saw Debbie Gibson there.
Oh really?
Yeah, and there was another girl from the 80s. I had a friend who was madly in love with this kid. What was the other one? Tiffany,
I
something like
think
that.
we're alone now or whatever. Is that the track?
Yeah, something like that.
I
Yeah.
remember that from Cape Fear. That's why I remember that track. It was always creepy. Robert De Niro singing that. Anyway,
Drag me to.
Isn't that I think that's a cover of something that is, uh, yeah, that one,
don't
Are We
know.
Alone Now, or what is that? I'm pretty
I think
sure.
we're alone now by Tiffany.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
We're
know.
Alone Now. Yeah,
An older tune. Huh,
yeah,
news
it
to
is.
me.
I'm pretty sure,
Right
which I
on.
never knew at the time because yeah, I think we're in the same age group there. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was a big hit. That was huge. But
yeah. I thought it was more or less original. I mean, as original as a pop tune in the '80s can be, I guess, from that tier of a performer or whatever. But hey,
Richie Cordell. It was written and composed by Richie Cordell. That was first recorded by Tommy James and the Shine.
No.
Yeah, Tommy,
when
it was a
when
cover.
in the '50s or what?
yeah, 67.
Wow, eh?
The
Damn.
Yeah.
Shondells, man. And it reached number 4 on the Hot 100 and
Wow.
number 12 in Billboard.
My 80s bands I saw in other venues other than that, but I got to see The Cure and
Yes, The
who
Cure. That was the other band I forgot. Sorry.
I
Thanks for
really
reminding me.
liked. Oh man,
Yeah.
I liked them a lot, and I got to see New Order, Echo and the
Yes.
Bunnymen,
Yes, I saw New
and
Order too.
Well said. A blancmange. Yeah.
Shit, I think I saw Echo and the Bunnymen as well.
Mhm.
Damn.
Yeah.
We were probably at the same concert then, you know?
Oh, it could have been.
Yeah, yeah.
We pretty much all were, because those were all my bands when I was younger.
Wow, small world.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's get started here. I'm gonna share my screen as usual. I'm always worried that I'm forgetting a name, even with a small list here. Now, Tiny Bites, I didn't see anything from you, but I threw your name in here because I know you've got quite the catalog. So,
I'm gonna check something. One sec.
do I got everyone right? I think so. And okay. Okay.
Oh, I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Jeff, tell us about your tune.
Oh, well, I could.
If you want to. Yeah, again,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
actually
I-
optional. Sometimes people want to play it first, so I just thought I'd
Yeah,
mention. But if you want to, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't mind some help. I'm concerned about the mix and that it might be a little dense in certain spots and so on. I did use ozone on this, and I got it actually put my LFUs, my LUFs, I should, yeah, LUFs up to about 9, which really, I haven't used ozone all that much, but a lot of times I come in at about 14. But this one came up to about 9, which really surprised me. I'm just a little concerned about the mix, but play it, and then could get your feedback. Anything on the creative side or the mixing side, particularly. Any feedback would be appreciated, and I could always say a little bit about how I did certain things afterwards.
Okay, yeah, let's give it a spin.
All right.
Oh, okay, here we go.
So I thought that was really great. People can hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was really great. It seemed like there were clear sections of something going on. You're trying to show off a certain instrument, uh, and it was very experimental. Excuse me. Um, I guess the one thing I noticed is that it almost was like a saturation, like a kind of tape saturation that went through the entire thing. And it felt like there were sections that you were kind of highlighting instruments, but the overall sound of it was very similar. Like there was something that went through the whole thing that made me like, I guess like some of the instruments, it seemed like you were trying to highlight some of them, but they didn't poke out as much as I would like, and they all seem to have the same volume throughout, which is fine. But it seemed like you wanted some of them to come through at different times, and they did, but they could have come through more with a little more separation and a little more highlight. But yeah.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Also, when I listen to it, I have to say, when I hear it back, through the Twitch or whatever, I feel that I lose a lot of the quality, right? I've noticed that, and it may be, the settings, but I've noticed that a number of times when I'm listening, the quality doesn't come back to the same degree as if and it may be something to do with the way I've got Zoom set up, or I've got things set up that I'm not getting the quality. But again, what you're saying, it's interesting because I do think I would like it to stand out, certain things to stand out more. And I do agree that there's a like an envelope setting or something that is it could vary a little bit. Yeah. So thank you. I gotta figure out how to do that now. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah, I just I guess and I struggle with this as well, where it's like you're trying to create a new tone in somewhere, and there's something is carrying through the entire thing. It's just kind of holding it, and it sounded to me like a saturation or a low pass filter on something where it just the instruments that I was expecting to be very, very bright and kind of flip, 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 they were close but not quite, and there were the instruments that were very low were there. Yeah, I think. Sorry, I feel negative, but I mean, I loved all the creativity. I can't do any of that. I use loops out the yin yang, but the separation I think would something about the tone of things changing from one to another, because it seems like almost like a concerto where you've got 3 or 4 different phases, and so but there's something that's holding throughout all of them that's pulling them down.
Yeah. So there's in some ways to get in my mix. A lot of times I'm missing certain tones or frequencies when I do my composition. So I really tried to this time to look at the various octaves as opposed to just say, look at my master equalizer and seeing that, I had a representation there. I tried to look at chording across everything and build my and build my foundation. I did put in the back of that often a modulated like sub bass that may indeed be doing some of the thing that you're talking about. It might drop out at one point, but again, it's a lot of these songs for me are trying to take ideas, technical ideas, and suggestions back and try to work them into my music and overcome some of my shortfall. And so this time I really went big on looking at the whole range of a keyboard and looking at all of the octaves, like the levels. Okay, what do I have in it? C2, C3, C4, 5, and up. But I may then encounter a different issue, which I think you're saying is that some of the pieces then are not so bright, and they don't shine through as much. So
could be the mixing,
yeah,
as an or the arrangement sometimes, you know what I mean, if you have too many layers. But I thought this piece was really strong though, just to say, even though it was kind of, I would say, repetitive, but not in a negative way. It's the kind of thing that I felt like maybe that's what you were trying to do. Like you were trying to make a tune that was repetitive and then work with it. I don't know if that was your goal, but sometimes, like it's kind of like a structure that works, you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily like a tension grabbing, like, pop tune or something. It's just something more kind of maybe cinematic, or could be used in a different kind of mood, perhaps. You know what I mean? As opposed to, I don't know if that, I only heard it once too, so probably would like to hear it again to be able to actually process it. But I thought it was really
Well,
strong. It's just maybe the mastering could be.
we're going to quote you in the Globe and Mail, so obviously you're locked into that opinion. But
Okay, sure.
yeah, even though you heard it once, it's too bad. But yeah, I think that's a great opinion, and I mean, it did offer a very dark thread throughout, and it did hold. It's more of a subjective thing where, yeah, I guess for me, I felt so much like there were different sections that could have kind of a different vibe to them, but who knows? I mean, it's a completely subjective thing, but it did hold a very dark, lo-fi kind of tone to it for me throughout. That was consistent, even though the instruments did change. So, yeah, I liked it a lot. Honestly, I mean, I really admire everybody here. This is my third, or maybe fourth, no, my third time here, and everybody here, I'm always struck by their creativity and what they're using, and certainly yours hit the mark in that.
Well, from a technical point, some of the things that I was using that I don't necessarily always use is I tried to modulate the bass. And when I modulated this kind of sub bass, then that suggested to me a more rhythmic bass, which I then created to go on top of that. And that became sort of the lead that popped out of it all of a sudden. And I had a lot of fun writing that, and then trying to come up with my chords and figure out what key I was in. A C minor blues scale was it was pretty well dominant, except for in one section. And that was interesting because it helped me with my chord, with some of my chords. So I felt that I tried to fill in a lot of space, which I might generally leave open. and my drum sort of had my kick had an echo kind of effect to it. So there, I thought there might have been a bit too much in it, but I don't know. But I'm still learning how to do that. So I had a bit of a pan on my pads, and that was moving through. So that's about it. The 3/4 time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's fascinating. I never even noticed that, to be honest, which I thought I would have, but I didn't. I followed that rhythm right away, and if you didn't tell me it was 3/4, I feel a little embarrassed, but good for you. That was really great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, thanks for sharing once again, Jeff. Great stuff. I always enjoy hearing what you bring to the table. Let me go ahead and spin the wheel. Okay, Vosto.
Yeah.
You've been very quiet thus far. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say to Jeff that he reminds me very much of Tangerine Dream Music. He's probably a fan of that band.
Gosh, you're so complimentary. Thank you so much.
And I like Tangerine Dream because they've produced some amazing soundtracks for movies as well as for one of my favorite games, which is GTA 5.
You're a cultured man, Vasu.
So, yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't say much, but I enjoyed it, and keep doing those experiments and show up here on this meetup because it's nice to share songs with friends that also make interesting music. And now I have a song to share too. I've made it this evening for this show in particular. Then if I use it somewhere else, then so be it. So I spent like 5-6 hours on it. I wanted to show Spy Audio that I can make some drum and bass sounds just like he does on this show.
Nice.
And I hope you have some fun with the song. So let's go.
All right, let's give it a spin.
All right, that was Laser Sales. Hope you guys liked it.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that sawtooth there. That is quite an effect.
I made a bunch of chainsaws going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, there's actually two of them going in parallel, and one of them with a bit of more overdrive on it. Give some extra grit there. Nice, a sub bass layer underneath it all.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, is there a sine wave under there?
Yes. Yeah, it's a sine wave under there with some saturation to it, just to give it something. I don't know if it's the best sub bass. I think I should work more on it, but I think it's an okay layer. It does the job for a one-day track.
And so the upper layer of that, you've got a high pass filter on it. Where are you cutting that off at? Just
Well, at about
and it's
maybe 300, 400 hertz, somewhere there, off the top of my head.
really okay. So your sine wave takes from 20 hertz to 300, and then you've got that's coming up as the mid to top end from around 300.
Yeah, the 300 to 2K and stuff like that, and then there's
That's
another.
fascinating. It's a lot higher than I would do. I usually do it like 100K or something.
Like
So 300K, this sounds like a pro tip to me.
I guess, yeah, there's maybe some warmth to it because you do hear it in the growl, but it's a little bit taken down. Like the cut is like a bend, it's bended towards, so it doesn't cut everything. Because I don't like to cut completely, because then it removes the personality, in my opinion. It's all in my head, And then what else? The other layer is more focused on the high buzzy sound, like bzz, 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 bzz,
Is there white noise with that?
No, but it's in the distortion. You can hear the S's in it, and the buzzing. I mean, there probably is some noise in the synthesizer itself, like the noise knob on the Serum, because that's what I use. I use Serum to create these sounds, and yeah, there will be some.
So it's a sub layer. It's a sub layer and two mid bass layers, or mid and an upper
mid
bass.
and mid high, a bit
you
risky.
You throw those into a bus and compress them. Yeah,
exact amount, and then it still doesn't sound quite like I want it. It's a bit too busy right now, and maybe later I can focus and make an even more sculpted type of sound. But it's good enough to get people moving to it. Like I said, for this like one-day project, the kicks are like 2 kicks. The snare is like everything is has a purpose. Like I have a kick, for example, the low part of the kick is separate to like the body of the kick and the knock of the kick, and then there's also a click in the kick at the end, like it's sound. So I also enhance that a little bit. I don't know, it's stuff that is boring to do. I think it makes it sound better. And I really liked the melody aspect, like to me, can make a million basses, but if you don't have some kind of melody to it, it's not my style, let's say. So
yeah, there's really like a synth wave drum and bass kind of sound going, and I thought you did that really well. And as I mentioned in the IRC chat, the second drop, I like the variation. It's always nice to come back after.
That's my favorite thing.
And it's not just repeated, right? So I always appreciate that about your tracks, that you actually.
I actually changed the drop with the bass in the second part, and I also changed the melody at the end, adding a lot more notes and creating this whole vortex of sounds that can really offer a good ending to a track that feels energetic and powerful. That's what I like in other people's tracks. So it's always cool if they have a second drop,
Yeah,
showing what else they can do, It's always a nice
and
surprise.
it's a science and it's an art, like it's a delicate balance, you know what I mean? Because you want it to still be coherent. So, you know what I mean? So I
Yep.
always appreciate when people do it well, and
Not
there's
all
always
projects go so well though. Like, maybe people think I can only make bangers, but it's not true. And this one was complete luck. I'm surprised how good it turned out, because I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make some song for Spy Audio Show, since I don't have one.
yeah,
So
and we appreciate. See, this is what you get for tuning into the TEMP meetup online. You get to hear exclusive material never heard before from the likes of Vostel, a
TEMP Meter.
multi-million, player Spotify, artist here. So it's
Just luck, guys, just luck.
Yeah, right.
You can do it too. Roll the dice.
Well, if I send you my underwear, will you sign it and send it back, Fausto?
Oh man, if you're a woman, yeah. All
But
right.
Very good.
yeah, we may go around the wheel a second time, so we may hear something else from everyone, including Vosso. But
I'm going to put a bug in your ear, Lenny. I started a drum and bass track, which I would do as my second track. So
yeah,
Yeah.
man. See, I like to see. I like that. I inspire people to do drum and bass. This is awesome. And this is like my ulterior motive with this meetup. It's like to actually get people to make drum and bass.
Well, there you go. What mission accomplished? 1 point. There you go.
Right on, right on. But
Forget-
yeah, it's always a pleasure, Vosto, to hear.
Thank you for the opportunity, man. It's a good place to get inspired, like I said before. But it's always good to repeat this, and yeah, it's good vibes here, man.
Yeah, no, it's good to socialize, and especially, I said this before, but it's true. You share it with other people, and you get a lot of, and even listening to other people's tracks, and you learn kind of how other people approach things, and it can kind of trigger something in what you do, so there's so many benefits. But yeah, I appreciate everyone sharing though. That's it's very great to be able to hear all this great music, and so I'm
I
gonna go.
always
Sorry.
the clarity of Boss. That's why I made the the joke of yet another muddy mix. I mean, this guy's always got the cleanest stuff, and it's like, I just slapped this together tonight, and that's like that would take me like a week to get that clarity.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate
no,
that.
I noticed the sarcasm there. I was like, okay, what's he saying here? And I was like, okay,
Freaking muddy mix,
LOL.
a fast pack from Boston. Yeah, lovely. I quit.
Yeah, you just whip this out in a few hours, no big deal.
It's just instinct, man. You do this all the time, it becomes instinct, and you know how to reach for stuff. And the melodies, like I can see the melody in my head, and I just put it in there. Like it doesn't take much time. And the same with the mixing and the basses and all that other sculpting stuff is also an instinct. So that's why it takes less time now. Maybe 4 years ago, it would take a week to get to how this song sounds like, It's just experience.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone has their own place and their own progression. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that I like trying to create a song for each meeting, is that it forces me to keep doing things, and I get faster, or I become more efficient trying to address things, and that's part of what my learning is to try to be able to put things together. Like one time, Lenny had the challenge where we were supposed to do 5 songs or something in under 5 minutes, right? Well, I totally love that one, right? And it really brought the best out in some of my work. I thought I was really surprised at how quickly I could come out with some ideas, right? But this really challenges me, and this meeting, and then and the camaraderie. So thank you.
Yeah, so it's a win-win-win.
Fantastic. You got to get out of your comfort zone. I would never do if somebody didn't push me.
Yeah, it's sometimes it takes a bit to share, but once you do it, it's always rewarding, I think. But anyway, let's spin the wheel here. Right, Peter. Anything you wanted to say about your track before we play it?
Yeah, sure. This is one I did a while ago. Actually, I wanted to mention last week. Or last month, I submitted a track, and I got some feedback, and there was something about it that really kind of it just sat with me. I was a little upset with it, and thinking about it, I realized it was because I shared a track, and all the feedback I got was about stuff I already know, and I already hated that stuff. The feedback I got from it, like I thought that, it was mentioned that the vocals weren't loud enough, and I already knew that, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to share something that I know isn't right because I already had a lot of work to do it on myself, for myself. So. Yeah, so this track I'm sharing, it's a finished track. I've released it. It's an inspiration from a video game I used to play when I was a kid. I'm 44 now, so it's a racing game. So it's got a racing vibe. It's synth wavy. It's house. I wanted to sound a little bit old, but I also wanted to bring it into I didn't want it to be out of place on a dance floor today. Um, yeah, it ended up as it did. I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, it's listening to it. There are parts about it that I would do differently, but I can't be bothered. So I'm very happy I released it. It's plenty good enough. So again, speaking, it's kind of on the other side.
What's the racing game called? Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you for asking, Vosto. That's the $1 million question. F-Zero. So you guys know, if any of you know F-Zero, it's a racing game.
I'll check it out after the show.
Yeah, and it's it's racing spaceships at 400 miles an hour. But it's kind of that was the inspiration, and
Right on.
yeah. So this is what it ended up as.
Cool. All right, let me line it up and let's give it a listen.
Oh, that was great.
Party music. It's party time on the beach with Peter.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's good. Sounds good. It's a radio. Oh,
Yeah.
you could expect that to hear it on the radio.
oh, good Lord. You've made my week, boss, so thank you. I worked hard on it.
I can see.
Yeah, I do. I honestly, I can't. It was probably like 25, 30. I used to listen to industrial and rock music and all kinds of stuff. And one day I just realized this stuff is so depressing. I'm not going to listen to depressing music anymore. And, 30 years later, I still, everything I make, it ends up happy. I can't help it. I listen. Yeah,
That's good, man. That's good. I like it.
thank you.
Sometimes I go into party mode, Okay, just imagine. In Romania, we have a place at the beach where there's like a totem made out of wood, and there's a lamp, and everyone dances around that totem all night. And there's like these big speakers, and they play a lot of different music of all genres. And I would say your track there for sure.
Oh, well,
Like to dance to it.
thank you. That's fantastic. I've never been recommended for a totem pole dance-a-thon, so that's a first. Thank you.
And
Well,
many people go crazy. There's like couples dancing. There's
Make sure
crazy
you read
people
the
dancing.
fine print when someone offers to put you on a totem pole. Just a little bit of advice there. You know what I mean? You never know. It could end up bad.
The Transylvanian way. I mean,
Start
with
taking out like
impaler mode.
no, but that was a very like synth pop, I would say.
Yeah.
That kind of like the genre, but yeah, it's very polished and
Yeah, it was really warm and upbeat and sexy. Particularly, I found the beginning. I really liked the way it all evolved, and you kept bringing out different instruments. Very, very clean. Everything was good. I liked it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's sort of a general multi-drop kind of thing where you kind of get more and more excited, and it's something that you like at the start, but as you get in, it's kind of chill. But as you get into it, you decide that maybe you want to break into a run instead of a slow jog. Thank you.
I'll throw it out there. Like I always comment that Andrew Tamar makes very happy music. He's generally, and just something I picked up on at a certain point. I was like, wait a minute, everything this guy makes is like uplifting, and
we need to contrast it, with my dark stuff. That we need something to balance it out.
And I appreciate like honestly all kinds. But as a person who likes dark music, like I'm a happy person. That's what I throw it out there. But I just like dark, angry stuff for some reason. It makes me happy. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Like if I put on Slayer, South of Heaven, I'm happy. Like it elevates me. Like I feel, you know what I mean? Just
yeah,
no.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sure. I just, for me, I guess it was more of as I mentioned earlier about how I make happy music and I listen to it now. I think it was kind of, I was a teenager and I did, you get depressed and melancholy like a fool. You're living a great life and you can't be, I don't know. So what got me out of it was transitioning away from the darker side of things. And,
Hey, no. I mean, I was just saying, like, just there's all kinds of different takes on it, but it's interesting. I've met other people that are similar. It's like there's like certain kinds of music that it's like I don't know for whatever reason, like a bit of an edge, a bit of anger. It's kind of, you know what I mean? It actually makes me happy. It's weird, but
it's fascinating, and I do too. Like I love stuff like that. There's all kinds of music with a dark edge. I mean, I love Nine Inch Nails, White Zombie. That's what I grew up on, that sort of stuff. But I just cannot creatively come out with that stuff, and it's fascinating because I don't really control it. Like I found my style by accident.
yeah, exactly. I bet a lot of people fall into that category, right? Like I don't think Andrew sits back and is like, okay, I'm gonna make a happy tune right now. Like he just does it, and it turns out that way. I imagine. But
yeah,
who knows? Maybe he does. Maybe he does actually. Draws a happy face and is like, let's do it. Anyway, spin the wheel here, but great stuff, Peter. Thank you for sharing. And it's really great to have you as part of the group. By the way, I just wanted to mention that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been fantastic, and I love to hear Yeah, I love to hear what you guys are doing, and everybody's been inspirational in a lot of different ways. So thank you.
Right on. Now, speaking of happy music, I actually made a happy tune. So, go figure. I think so. But so like Vosto, believe it or not, I made this tune today. So I worked on a tune last week for a few days and I finished it last night. And then that tune inspired me to make this tune today. It's weird. Like you kind of mentioned this earlier, Jeff, where like you do something and it kind of sets you up for the next track in a way. So this track that I made today, I like followed the methodology of the track I just finished, but that track was based around like a more old school hip hop breakbeat. And I kind of took it, I think, as far as that loop would take it, you know what I mean, with that combination of sounds. It, and I just felt like it was a good exercise, it was weird that I finished the track and I was like, you know what? I got to make another one that's more like, like drum and bass or jungle or whatever, because it was like really like a really, hip hop kind of track that was, anyway, I don't know if just to say that, this is the story behind this track. So anyway, I'll play it and see what you guys think.
Yeah. There was a break about halfway through, and I really enjoyed.
Yeah, okay.
Man, we were having some a little bit of fun to this track on the IRC network.
Yeah, and it's literally drum and bass too. I mean, there's no other instruments. I find that
Yeah, it's drum and bass, and sometimes a beat bop like
yeah, I mean, it's a simple tune, but like I say, sometimes, you know, you just get inspired and things come together. I don't know. I made this today, like I say. It's not usually the case where, you know.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
We
I liked it a lot.
jamming.
And the drum really powerful. I know what you're talking. Is it Jeff? What you're talking about in the Twitch replay? There's something about it. It takes the edge off a number of the instruments, but Lenny, like those drums really pop right from the beginning. I think more than anyone's ever heard tonight. It was great. And yeah, the sub bass was fantastic. I asked last time, it's a great wobble bass. Is it a preset from somewhere
Yeah,
or?
yeah, it's the same one that I used last month, actually. I mean, you know
If
what?
it works, it works.
If it works, it works. I don't know. It's vital though. So
I have a friend who used
Vital.
Vital is excellent. I think isn't it free? Vital?
it does have a free version.
That's
Free
free, but
version and a $100 version. I believe.
Yeah.
It's
what
worth
else
it.
I want to say?
I mean, free, obviously, it's worth it. But even if you spend the $100, it's a good VST.
Yeah. When it comes to this reusing of stuff, it's great. I have a few basses that I always like to use. And I have a friend who released 2 albums with the same snare because it was just good. You know?
Yeah, no, there's no shame in that. I mean, I'm not just making excuses here, but I'm just saying, like, I heard this from other producers. They're like, listen, there's some go-to sounds that they use, and
Go-to
you know what I
sounds,
mean?
yeah.
There's more you can get out of it. Hey, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
sir. And I like that you choose drums that sound good and they're very satisfying to listen to, you know? Like every time it hits, it hits well.
yeah,
So
it is a
that's
double
cool.
layer. So I layered up the kicks and the snares. So I used a more modern kits, if you will, with that's very punchy. And then, you know, it's actually just a sample, the main beat, but I copied it with the second layer. And to be honest, it's just like I say, I just like the also moving from the two different bass lines to kind of complement each other. So it's really I had a bunch of MIDI that I chopped up, and then I matched it to the beat. You know what I mean? Like so, I had some melody lines, and it wasn't syncing up so well. And that wobble bass section, for example, I had it without the drums at one point, and then I added the drums again, and then I realized the timing. So anyway, just sometimes, you know, it's almost seems obvious, but obviously that's an important part of it is the timing, you know what I mean? Because and actually even the different sounds, like how they tail off, depending on what you have going on, it can either work or not, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it fits in. So in this case, I don't know, I feel like I lucked out personally because it doesn't always work out that it fits in, you know? So this time I was pretty happy with that. And anyways, I appreciate you guys listening to it and giving feedback.
No, it was a lot of fun. I was moving away to that, so I enjoyed it.
And I wasn't kidding. It was a happy tune, at least in the beginning, right? Like it has kind of like that bouncy, uplifting, and then it goes into a more darker part, right? But oh, and the other thing, I'll even throw one of my tricks. To get a variation, sometimes I'll drop the semitones. You know what I mean? I'll take the same melody or bass line, and for me, like -2 or -4. So like -3 semitones is 1 octave. So if you do 2, it's like a key change basically, right? And I just find that it even works well with guitar. Like let's say you have like a riff that you're doing, drop it a couple of semitones and you get like that kind of like different mood or whatever. And then you can switch back and you know, so That's
Yeah, that's something that I've experimented with a little bit and got some really great effects. Particularly with my guitar, but I don't necessarily bring a lot of my guitar stuff, here. But it has, been quite advantageous for the creative on the guitar.
Yeah, I've been putting a habit of putting a pitch in my effect chain, and I can turn it on and off, and I'll just experiment with that, on the regular, and be like, okay, what does it sound like normal? What does it sound like a few octaves up? You know what I mean? Even on a normal day, if you will, I'll usually have that in there. But sometimes I'll have a MIDI that with one type of sound, it sounds okay, but then with another sound, I'll have to play with the pitch to get it into the sweet spot. You know what I mean? Where it works with the sound you want. So if it's bass, you're gonna want to maybe like, you know what I mean? Like you may either bring it up or down, depending. And this is probably basic stuff, but people who are new to production, I just thought it's good to give some types of information, share some information about the approach that we all take, because over the years I've learned a lot from other people, and like I say, guitar players, we have a lot of guitar players here that can probably attest to what I'm saying. It's probably been, something that people have been doing for a long time with but it's a good way to get a variation, so I'll just leave it at that.
It was a wicked track, man. I loved it. It was like a pixel cartoon. It was like I said, there was that organic bass, but just the variation, the timing of everything. I was literally in imagery through the whole thing. Rather, it wasn't static. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate that.
I love that. Yeah, that's a definite. I see that one. I see that one getting picked up for video, or like for video game or something in there. Like definitely. It's unique, and just the placement of everything. Anyways, I
Thank you. I have to admit, I mentioned it last time, but I'm off the quantizing a lot these days. So a lot of my kicks and snares are subtly off from like totally perfect. You know what I mean? And so just to say, I spend a lot of time manually like lining things up these days, and I feel like that's really given a kind of a swing, frankly, to the drums and everything personally.
think I just do that naturally with my poor playing.
Well, that's the thing. I'm simulating my poor playing by editing.
I'm the other way.
But it's consistently poor playing. See, that's the key. If
No,
you just do like random poor playing, it's different. But if you can do it consistently,
No, I guess when it's quantized properly, I just my timing's off.
yeah. Well, trust me, your timing's better than mine. I mean, you're a drummer, right? So, I. But anyways, okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen, and I think we got only one person left. Or did we go through? It's just you actually, Tom,
Yes.
right? So, do you have anything to share?
I sent you I think the same place last was
Oh, okay.
there.
The glorious email.
Short.
Yes, I know. I'm the email guy. I got multiple computers, guys, so this is the reason I
Yeah, it's
ask
easy
people
to
to
just
email
pull
me.
up your.
Oh, big show off. He's got more than one computer. Lenny, wow.
I know. I mean, it's actually something I'm embarrassed about, but hey, because it's not necessary. But I mean, two or three might be, but I've got like, I don't know, a lot. It's a bit overboard. But yeah, like the computer I use for streaming, it's not the computer I'm using for the Zoom. So like if you type something in here, it's not like I can just copy and paste it.
I like computers.
But
PC
okay.
Master Race.
Anything you want to talk about this tune, Tiny Bite?
If you have two keyboards and two mice, you're done for. Your brain will fry because you'll never get it done. That's a big problem.
Two, dude, I got more than that. But I'm not bragging. I swear, it's just it happens to be, you know, working in IT. You know, this is what happens. You end up having a lot of computers. I don't know if you just went silent, Tiny
Nope.
Bites.
No, no,
Oh,
everyone's
okay.
just the first track I sent was just it's using modular gear, simple drum, and I tried to do everything in real time live. So there's no production in it. There's no nothing. It was just turning it on, creating some sounds, two oscillators. Um, it was two oscillators for the one instrument, which you'll hear is the kind of unison detune, and then the singular oscillator for something else, and just yeah, just kind of went with it. And then I think the bell type sound, not sure if that came from a Kurzweil or my Emu. But anyways, you'll hear it. It's just a quick little short. I was just messing around. Yeah.
So this is like a hardware piece then.
Yeah, it's just a hardware piece, just messing around. So,
Nice. Okay. All right. Let's give it a listen. I'll set it up and let's check it out.
that is weird.
Yeah, we're just trying to sort out the right links here. Yeah, we're just trying to sort out the right links here. Yeah, we're just trying to sort out.
All right. Try refreshing that.
Let me do it from the browser maybe. No, I'm still not getting it.
Hold on. I was on the wrong.
If it's private, I think you have to do like a, I don't know, some type of explicit share or something like that.
It was on the wrong. Let me just edit. I was on the wrong track. One sec here.
No worries. No worries.
Refreshing that one and see if that helps.
You gonna send me another link, or you're saying reuse this one?
Yeah, just reuse that one. You should just be able to hit refresh on it.
Okay, so now I'm gonna share the browser for sound, so bear with me a second.
Hey, Tiny Bites, nice song, bro. It reminds me of video games.
Thanks.
Video games from the 90s. 16 bits, amazing music.
Yeah, so I love this little unit that I have. Can pull off a lot of that type of energy.
Yeah. Dun, da, 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 da.
A
No.
lot of energy there. Yes.
Yeah, I really like the pace.
I actually did a Batman cover too from the NES version of the video game in the late 80s a few weeks ago. So it looks like you're on the same type of mood there. So I really liked it.
I liked it, and it really captured the tone of the time. Like it didn't. It felt contemporary, but the sounds were clearly from another time. So it's hard to describe, but it felt current, but it took me back, and things were very bright, very distinctive. Um, I'm impressed. That was great. Send me your email. I'm going to pick your
90s video game music.
ear.
Because I think, it sounds too high quality to be 8-bit. So, maybe it's the first PlayStation type of sound.
Well, I mean, I like the idea. I think there's a huge group out there, certainly now and previously, who are into 20, 25-year-old video game systems or 15-year-old that are out listening to music and out at a nightclub or doing something, whatever location, and they want to find something that's reminiscent of what they're used to. But if you're listening to an 8-bit track, I mean, let's be honest, it's just not that exciting in a nightclub. But that gave me all of that vibe, but all of the brightness and dynamic range, and it would fit in with the dark with it in with real songs, with songs that are not from video games. And so I loved it. It was great. I think it's the best of both worlds.
Thanks. Yeah, the output was when I recorded it, the only thing I put on the master was the RX 950 by a French company, Eponic or something. They make a Sega unit as well as the old Akai sampler, the 950, that particular sound. It allows you to crunch it down to that. And that's probably where the overall feel may be coming from. Although uh, the modular is I think was actually I think Foster was it was somewhere around 12-bit.
All right.
It was running through. So he said 15-bit.
Yeah, I said 16.
15. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I can tell right away, you poor bastard. You've never played video games.
I've never heard of 15-bit before.
joke.
Was 8-bit and then it's 16-bit, because they always go twice
By
as
8,
far
right?
as before.
No. You guys never had the 17.5-bit system from Neo Geo? No.
Damn.
I was like, I was always a fan of the Amiga. I love the fact that they ran 8-bit, 16-bit, but through a 4-bit mixer.
I heard of 12-bit, right? That's
Yeah, I was a huge Amiga fan. That was me.
The 500 was, I think it was 12-bit, but the Fat Agnes chip was really unique. However, the audio that chip was shared with other things, and then the mixer was on the board at 4-bit. There was 12-bit processing, but then 8-bit, and then there was another 6-bit unit. So it was all over the place. Like that computer was amazing. I love the sounds you could pull from it. But anyhow, yeah, thanks.
all right, guys. Well, we can go around again if anyone wants to share a second track.
I send you
Tiny Bites, you sent me a second track, so do you want to?
I want to ask just a general
go ahead.
question, if I could. What when people are sending in their tracks to you, what LUFS or how what volume are people usually sending these things in at?
It could be all over the place, but a
Must be.
rough minus 14 LUFS is kind of like the Spotify,
Right.
sound. And so I tend to be around like 14, 15, 12, depends. But I haven't really measured what other people send in. I don't know. I'll let other people.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. I mean, my aim is kind of as loud as it can get, basically because volume equals enjoyment, and also I do dancey tracks and they're pretty loud. So everything I've released is -8 LUFS consistent, and I'd like to go a little higher if possible, but I've obviously had trouble with mixing and getting that right. But yeah, I mean, I do it quite loud.
And I think CDs typically, I could be wrong. If anyone here knows, I thought it was around -8, -9. They tend to be hotter than, let's say, Spotify, like a CD typically.
Well, something
But
I don't
there's
know.
a lot of variation though. Like obviously classical music, and you know what I mean.
Of course.
Audiophile. And the other thing is, what's that Atmos? Like the quadraphonic sound or whatever by I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But some of those, because they have so much information, I think they're like -18 LUFS basically. So
Really, that's
they're
the
much
like
quieter.
up and down, left and right, forward, back.
Yeah, the multi-channels like.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know that.
I
I mean,
attended there's actually a group here in Toronto, Audio Engineering Society. If you're interested in these types of technical discussions, I actually attended one where they spent 3 hours talking about LUFS, to be honest with you.
Wow.
But it was useful though. Like I got a lot of information because there are a lot of broadcasters there and people in the industry, and like people from Bell Canada or Bell Media, I should say, were there, and they're talking about like customers complaining about commercials being too loud, and then the TV programs are so they themselves, from a broadcasting perspective, are fighting all these different environments that they now have to deal with, right?
actually,
And they also mentioned people are like watching with subtitles now because there's so many. If you're watching a stereo mix of something that is in 5.1 sound or whatever, where you have like the sensor channel for voice, and like suddenly that's lost, and I don't know. I never had considered all these different in scenarios that they have to deal with. Sorry, Peter.
no, that's okay. Geez, where were we? Where was I thinking? Yeah, I have a compressor for my TV that I use. I set a threshold, I set a gain, and it's for movies and everything. It's a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's RCA in and out or aux in and out, and I set a little compressor, and so I don't get those stupid spikes in
Right.
anything, which is super fun. It's about like $30 or something, a little box. So,
Oh yeah.
anyways,
I mostly
yeah.
use FabFilter Pro L to see how the waveform looks like, and see if everything's under control with the spikes. Then see how much dynamic range is still kept. So I don't even meter anymore. Like this last track I shared with you is not even metered, but I can tell it's good just looking at the waveform in the master.
Would you not want to try to normalize? Like I know you release an album. Wouldn't you want to normalize the volume across everything?
Yeah, unfortunately, when I release an album, I have to go back to each track and see that everything looks the same in the different masters. That I have like headroom, like -1.5 or -2, something.
And you send it off to a mastering engineer.
No, I just release it like that. It's great.
You do yourself, really? So, and that's -2 peak. You release it like that?
Well, I don't do vinyls or any physical formats. Obviously, if I had to do a vinyl, then I would make it even more quieter.
Yeah, vinyl, I would say
quiet.
probably -6.
But for a digital release,
but is that for the
-2
peak?
is fine.
I mean, forgive my ignorance because again, I am ignorant. We're talking minus
Oh.
6 peak
Yes,
for a
and
vinyl?
again, I'm not an expert either, but from the small amount, I did a few dub plates and I looked
Yeah.
into it, and in
Yeah, peak.
generally you can't, yeah, like I'm so used to mixing hot, right? Like -1, you know what I mean? Sometimes 0.02 even, like as long as I'm not clipping, I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
Vinyl, you can't do that. You got to have way more headroom, basically.
And even for Spotify, man, even for Spotify and like Bandcamp and SoundCloud, it's recommended to have at least -1.5.
But
Because
you know, you can.
otherwise it ruins the sound.
Yeah, and this is the next thing I have
You'll
is that,
download your track and it's gonna be in the red.
so I send my stuff off, and today I uploaded to Audius, and it always sounds different when it comes through their filters, right? So the
Well, they
sound
compress it,
changes.
right? They
Yeah,
and actually, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so it goes from my from my laptop, and then it goes through their system. It changes. It seems to change slightly again when it's going through the Twitch or the and the Zoom. So it's always a question that that I have.
One thing that can happen too, believe it or not, is that if you send the track too loud, Spotify will make it quieter, right? Because they're gonna normalize it themselves,
Yeah,
and
but
that can be that's like the kiss of death, I think, because it's
It
like
might
everything
destroy your
you've done
sound.
is just
something I want to mention actually, which you may not be aware of, but all the streaming platforms allow you to turn the normalization on and off. So
oh really?
yeah, so I turned mine off, and so you get to listen to all the Spotify tracks, and they're up at -7, -8. If you're listening to EDM, if you leave it on, it does everything at -14. So it either upwardly compresses or downwardly compresses the signal. But you can turn that off so that it's the
I
way
didn't
the
know
artist
that.
wants it.
In the player?
In the player, yeah, it's a settings thing. You just say turn volume normalization off. It's one of those things, and it's a massive game changer because
Yeah, but
people are
most
not.
people, I don't think they're using that.
Well, most people aren't. But again, for me, I've got my eighth monthly listeners, and when they're jamming to it in the nightclub, I want it to be loud. Yeah, so I mean, I've got my stuff is always -8. I've got 5 tracks out, and I find when you turn the volume normalization on, it's a very similar. Like they do a great job. They just turn it down, and if I were you, releasing a song, I would release it as loud as you possibly can, and let the platforms turn it down, because every platform has a way to let you listen to it without the normalization, which people who are really music heads are going to know and turn that down.
But is that true of all the formats? Like, for example, SoundCloud, do they have that set?
I don't know. I mean, Spotify does, iTunes does.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's a real pain in the ass when you throw on the disco track when you're doing a dinner party, and every second song is like, one's -15 and the other one's -25 and the other one's. But if you're playing contemporary, like dance music or like stuff that's meant to pack the clubs, those things on Spotify are -7, -8, -6, and if you turn it off, it's there. You can hear that.
Okay. Well,
I'll find the setting and I'll show it up to the camera because I only learned about this like a year and a half ago. My brother, who couldn't care less about music, was like, "Yeah, of course." And I was like, "Oh fuck." I'm obsessed with music, and I didn't even know that this existed. So I'll find it for you guys right now on Spotify.
Well, there's so many elements to try to control for or understand at different places that.
You may want to try listening back on YouTube next time, Jeff, by the way. I find YouTube, the sound quality is better than Twitch, just to throw it out there.
Oh, yeah. You're listening through on YouTube.
Yeah, I have both going, and I always feel like the YouTube's a bit better.
I definitely hear, I mean, there's a different sound coming from Twitch. It's not, it definitely is not as clear as what I'm hearing in my own headphones and everywhere else. It's not a huge degradation, but like you did mention it, Jeff, it's different. What I heard from my song is different. It's not quite as good.
But every source I listen to, it's always different. You know, if I'm listening in my car, it's going to be different than if I'm listening through, a Bose, system. It's going to be different than if I'm listening to a real old stereo. Everything comes across, but when different platforms definitely compress things and use some sort of formula, it's something that I'm curious about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people are aware, but like the human ear, if it's louder, people think it's better.
Right.
So my aim would be make it loud and let them turn it down. And I'm very happy with Spotify. I use TuneCore to distribute, so they put it out on. I mean, bloody hell, there's like a
Okay, so
South
you put on
African
TuneCore? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was gonna ask Vosto actually, if you don't mind. What do you use, Vosto, when you release
What was the
TuneCore?
question? Sorry.
Like when you put stuff on Spotify, what service do you use? Do you use
I use distrokid.com
DistroKid? Okay.
and it sends it to all the shops.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar.
So,
CD Baby, DistroKid, and the one you just mentioned, TuneCore.
TuneCore.
There's a few others, I guess, but those are the main ones that I know about.
Yeah, I'm certainly
be
happy
careful
with
though.
that.
Don't upgrade the plans because they don't let you to downgrade unless you delete everything and start again. So it'll take your albums off of all of the shops. You just start again with nothing. Talking about DistroKid.
I was hoping. They kept threatening, like your music is going to be taken down, and I'm like, please take it down, and they just won't do it. I won't pay them, and they keep it's still there.
Oh, really? The DistroKid people?
Yes. Hope they're not listening. Well,
Wow.
maybe they are listening, but no, I'm serious. I haven't paid them for like a year, and I was praying that they would delete everything, and it's still there. So
Oh man,
I don't know. It's funny.
interesting.
So I switched to CD Baby now.
All right. So what are some of the advantages?
Here's the I finally found the settings. So you see, there's one you probably might not see, but it says normalize volume. Hold on. Sorry, I've got like a 3-second delay on this bloody thing, so I'm just going to keep it there.
Okay.
There.
Volume.
Anyways, normalize volume. You see it there?
Yeah.
So you just turn that off, and everybody, it gives you whatever the artist uploaded it to, and so for me, everything's like -7, -6, -8 because I do EDM stuff. So, anyways, it's a big difference, but I always find when they like turning stuff down is not a problem for me. I don't have any issue with turning things down. It's turning things up that the distributors, I don't want to leave to them. So louder is better. Like even though it's not, louder's better. Like
yeah, and a lot of times we talk about the compromise you make with compression. You get it louder, but it squishes everything, and it depends also on how many instruments you have. So I don't think I overuse compression myself personally, but I know some people do, and it's part of the genre, right? Like neurofunk is just literally just like you don't even see the waveform a lot of the times. It's just basically,
That's just
I like to see my waveform. I do it sort of in between. So you kind of see a little bit of a brick, but you don't see like it has shapes.
Yeah.
So it's like the sweet spot for me if I can do that.
Absolutely. I guess I would just say like if whatever you need a reference track, but in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but mix to that level, mix to the loud level of a reference track in your genre. Don't mix to 14.
Dance music is definitely, you need to have clarity at high volume. This is another thing. It's one thing to achieve a nice mix and you're listening to it at a nice, comfortable volume. Blast it to literally like, Spinal Tap 11. push it. And if it, and you'll hear, I've said this many times, like when you play like a top track and you're pushing it,
Yes,
it
yeah.
still cuts through. Like the bass cuts through, it's still, and that's to me is the test personally.
Yeah.
But it depends on your genre, you know what I mean? Like, but certainly for dance music in general, you know.
Yeah, I would just, I mean, yeah, for me, it seems whatever genre you're in, get to the loudness level that is standard, like get up there. Don't if the standard is -12, well, I've got a -16 track. Well, you know what? It's a great track. It's fantastic. If you bring it up to 12, you'll get a better response.
But anyway, we're gonna play Tiny Bite's second track. Actually,
All right.
I forgot to do that. So Tiny Bites, anything you wanted to say before we give it a listen?
No, this was I came downstairs to and brought my breakfast with me. I was going to check an email and then I turned on, just got inspired to turn on live. I was playing with the new Live 12. And anyhow, so it's all internal, just live stuff. It was one of those 20, 30-minute things where I just kind of played a loop. It's written for lyrics, but I haven't done any lyrics as of yet. So it's just an idea, thumbnail. I just thought I'd throw it in because it's the only thing I've recently done.
All right, let's give it a listen. Let me set that up and we'll hear.
I really like that, Tiny Bites. It's that's a really nice, full, evolving sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. I like that a lot. Did you play that just in one take kind of thing, or?
No, that was, well, it was just one of those things where you, in Ableton, you have the cells, so I just let it play. I just kept adding, and I was just fiddling within live, and the reason was because of Delph, the girl who was in, yeah, the lady. I was trying to come up with stuff for her to sing on, and she actually sent me some vocal for that, which but then she changed it like a half a dozen times, so it was but she's busy with so many projects. I think it's been scrapped, but for the anyhow, it was, I wrote it for lyrics. I just haven't come up with any yet. A little bit dark, so I don't know why I titled it Hurt, and I have no idea why I put it as electropunk, unless I did some really wild lyrics over top of that. But anyways,
Well, I mean, it certainly works as an instrumental. I'll say that much. But you could always have two versions. You know what I mean, or more than two versions even. But I don't know. It sounds good, man. I
I
like it.
really like it.
what I should do is send it to Boston. Say, okay, now do it right. Here,
I think
Oh,
it was
man,
really
sounds
great.
pretty good.
here's the
Yeah.
rest, and
Is-
Sounds pretty good.
I want to hear those vocals too. I'm just trying to imagine what kind of vocal would go on that.
Yeah, you need a young mid-30s something French woman talking about doing the laundry.
Nah, man, Tiny Bites voice.
Sure.
I was thinking Johnny Cash. Like he did that Nine Inch Nails
Oh,
cover
yeah.
Hurts, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kind
That
of
was
like
something.
that brooding kind of sound.
Well, you can just give it to me.
I
That
think
sounds like Sean Connery out one there.
I think it was really good. It was a
Just
nice
a
slow, nice slow
grumbly old
build.
man voice.
A nice slow build. It moved forward. I mean, it put me in a place to start, and I never left that place, but I explored it. It's not like I moved all. It just was. This is a really fascinating place to be, and
Mm.
slowly over the song, I noticed more and more interesting things. Is kind of what it felt like. But I didn't get up and move from one place to the other. It's just in a fascinating place that I was taking in, and I liked it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was good.
Vocals are exciting. We
Very
want to hear the
dreamy.
vocal version. Yeah, we want to hear
But
the vocal
I mean,
version.
if you played, for example, a Minecraft game or something, and you had that in the background, it would go perfect.
it was actually funny. You like I said with Delph, and I don't know if you guys can hear.
Kind of breaking up a bit there, Tiny Bites.
Because the
Disappeared.
bites are tiny.
Tiny here. Yeah, actually, maybe I should post this and we could hear what she did, because I guess you probably won't hear. I wish there was a way to share the vocal.
So that's
You
out
you
on
you, you can actually share through Zoom. You know what I mean? If you really wanted to, but I don't know about your situation there.
What do you mean share through Zoom?
Like if you happen to have, let's say, the audio on the same device that you have Zoom running on, you can like share your screen or whatever with sound.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can-
Except you would have to enable it for him.
It should be. It's not enabled. Oh, okay.
You know what I also liked about that, for a change, no drums. There wasn't any percussion in there, was there?
Well, there was, but
Yeah? It wasn't dominant, I guess, then.
see if that works.
You have that posted on SoundCloud? On SoundCloud?
Oh, you talk with the French girls.
Yes. Okay. Let me know. Let me know if you can hear this here. I'll just only did the beginning part. I'll speed it up. Can you hear that?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think the quality is the way you want it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
not the
don't hear
greatest
it.
sound, but I can hear it.
But is it a whispering sort of singing?
Quiet. Tiny Bites, you there? Can't hear you, buddy.
I'm here. I guess you guys can't
Yep.
hear.
Yeah, you can hear it now. I just heard it now as you spoke.
Yeah, but it came from his microphone and not from the screen share.
Yes, yes, okay. You have to enable sound when you share a screen, by the way, in Zoom. If you haven't done that, you should stop the sharing and then see if you have that enabled, Tiny Bites.
Okay. Stop sharing and then go to.
Yeah, when you go share screen, there's a bottom option, share sound. If you look in the, you know what I mean? When you hit share, it'll have like a select a window or application that you want to share, and then on the bottom it'll say share sound.
Okay, hold on. Ah, share sound. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's try that again. Okay. Back it up.
There we go.
Le vent souffle, il pleut. Tu penses à la vie. La vie s'écoule. Tu regardes la pluie, tout béant. Il est minuit dans la ville, tu marches lentement. La démarche, la vie s'écoule, la vie s'écoule, la vie s'écoule.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, that was just her first idea, and then took it to where was it? Was it
Version 3.
no, I think it was it this. Yeah.
Tu te réveilles excité, aujourd'hui est la journée où tu voudras aller chez un lot de ville. Tu te réveilles excité, aujourd'hui est la journée où tu voudras aller chez un lot de ville. Par cette danse d'apparence, par sa substance, tu glisses doucement dans le quotidien. Tu bouteilles trop facile, trop tu te réveilles excité. Aujourd'hui est la journée où tu voudras aller chez un lot de ville. Tu te réveilles excité. Aujourd'hui est la journée où tu voudras aller chez un lot de ville.
Well,
Sound like a
she
totally
took
different
it to
version.
yeah. It's over now. Now it's not your track anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
you can tell
totally
they released
amazing.
You can release an EP with just all the different versions, I think, man. Like
I think it's all part of one. We've been throwing it back and forth. It's like version 8 now. So the original that you heard was what I came up with over breakfast. Like I said, it was like a legitly pretty much manipulating some preset like pre-patches that were in Ableton, which is usually when I get an idea, I just grab them and say, well, I like the sound of that. I'll play with it and dirty it up and then go from there. So I sent that to her, and then
What other additions did you do to the track after you passed that first thing?
what do you mean?
Like you gave the track to her,
Yeah.
and then what did she give back to you? What other modifications did you give to the track?
First one you heard was just the vocals. She didn't change anything except some levels. That last one you heard was, I think that was version 8, where what she started doing was she added the flutter, that little bit of a flutter thing. The rest of the chords and everything else are just mine just rearranged to support it. So it would all be combined. We just keep sending back, ooh, like this idea here and then this idea. But it's been a long ongoing process because she's just really busy, like working and then trying to manage other like her stuff, but working with a friend of hers. So
But what other ideas did you bring to that last version?
oh, it's just the audio. The track itself, nothing to do with vocals. I do not even understand half her French, and the translations are awful. When I try to translate it, and both my kids they went to school, both French immersion, and went, uh, you know, she's from France, so she's.
Oh, I'm not saying about the voice. I'm saying about the sound design itself.
Oh, that's all me. Yeah, that was all me except for the very last one. She added some flutter, and.
Hmm.
and
That's cool. I like it a lot.
Are you using Space Designer or like your reverb? Is that
that was all stock.
it's all stock?
Yeah, that was all able. The reason why, when we collaborate, we use nothing but Ableton, and then if we do happen to use something outside of it, we either bounce it to audio or we freeze the track. So if she, like if she uses Serum, or I think she also likes the red one, Diva. You freeze the track and it will hold the sounds. But we
Cool.
pretty much stuck with the environment that was Ableton. Once we have something, that's when we'll pull out the analog or a digital synth or hardware and start to carve it out, make it more pleasing to the ear.
Yeah, the only thing I loved it. I thought it was great. It
That
seemed
makes
very Portishead esque, which I love. I mean, it's fantastic. I guess I only heard the last 30 seconds out of the 90 seconds, but um, the one thing I would say is that the sub bass was just constant, and there needs to be a breath, in my opinion. There's, you go from one note to the other, and the sub bass would drop in volume by a half, but not, they wouldn't drop off. And so there was kind of a constant hum throughout it. And I think that would be really the only place that I could hear where there could be a tightening of the sound. A tenth of a second of quiet from the sub
The
in
drone,
between notes.
the drone was there to put an atmosphere into it, but there was no, again, the the funny thing is that that's just the thumbnail. That's where you like turn on you turn on the unit and go, okay, this is what I want to do, and went with it. There was really not many changes. It wasn't until version 8 that Delph herself started saying, okay, I want to change things. I want to take the way you place and move the way you arrange the chords. And so she changed the movement or some of the placement of the stuff I had done. And that's when it started changing, because she really didn't, she wanted to change the vocals, or like the content of the vocal, and create something a little more Yeah, like you said, I think Portishead is good. I mean, I love her voice. Really,
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're lucky you.
Yeah, really. It's I want that song. I want it in my collection.
Yeah, the final version. Where's the final version?
Yeah, I'm looking for well, or there could be many final versions. You keep me coming back for more. There's parts of it that reminded me of the theme song for the TV series Dark. Though
Yeah, I know that song.
there it's a very haunting and the 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 reverb space design is just so a big part of the song, uh, but a lot of the vocal pulse of it is very similar to Dark, which was a German show.
It's a Goodbye by
Yeah, Goodbye. That's right. Yeah.
the heck's the name? Adarak or something.
Yep, that's right. Yep. The
No.
theme song for Dark. Yeah.
Also,
Except they're using more of like a zither or something like that.
but no, Voss was right. It's pretty much now hers. Like it's all her track at this point. Once you get the lyrics into it and what she's done to it, and then again she's just started taking the
Hey,
audio.
man, release it, make it like 50-50 on the money.
Yeah,
It's gonna
make
be a
sure-
hit, man.
Oh yeah, that one's something else. Theme song.
I
Theme
just
song. Try and
threw,
license it to Netflix or something.
I just threw the link to that Dark song, by the way, in the chat
Thank you.
that Jeff was referencing.
Like a $10,000 deal with one of these studios.
yeah, she's yeah, but busy young lady. If I was in Montreal though, I would definitely spend a heck of a lot more time. Because it's a lot. I think I find it a lot easier to work in the same environment. But well, Vasa, we should pull you into the project and say, here, take the music and play with it, and clean it up and do your thing to it.
Man, I just checked out that song that Jeff was talking about, and it's exactly on the same vibe. Amazing.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great song. I think I thrown that song into a D&B mix, if you can believe it.
It works. Why
one
not?
time or another.
Yeah, perfect. Gonna
Yeah.
steal it.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't heard of that. Well, I don't know. I
I
just
don't watch
assumed
that
people
show.
from Europe, Yeah, it's a big hit.
And what a great series.
Haven't
Dark.
heard of it.
Oh man, I tell you. Yeah, Cosmology. Oh man. Oh.
Yep.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. It's like it's like a dream and a clock. Let's put it that way.
That thing you just sent me is actually that was released through Mute Records, and I'm a huge I follow a lot of the bands that are released on Mute Records, so that's I've never even heard of this before, but I think it's ironic. Maybe it must be Depeche Mode influence because
And she has that slight German accent, right? Like in that song. So it's
Yeah.
not a French accent, but it both, you know what I mean? Voices have like a slight accent. It works well, actually.
or she's getting tainted from Montreal. The horrible Montreal French.
Don't tell her that.
Tender Jesus.
No, I find it hilarious because I have family in northern Quebec and they absolutely just despise Montreal. And
It's just,
my-
oh, really?
my French sounds like Montreal. So when I try to speak it, I sound like I'm fresh out of school.
This
And
is a change, because normally it's people dumping on Toronto, man, dumping on Montreal for a
Yeah.
change. Wow.
Yeah.
This is
oh no,
first.
the North is really, really against the Montreal area. I don't know. They just like, please, just speak the horrible English.
What I find funny about Quebec is their stop signs are arrête,
Yes.
and in France it's stop. I don't know why I find that funny. It's like it's not good enough. Stop is
They,
not good enough for the
they
Quebec.
take themselves way too seriously over in
No
Quebec.
offense to
Let's be
anyone
honest.
watching from Quebec. I mean, I personally I like the French people, unlike some people that
I love
are a
the
little bit less enthusiastic.
north is beautiful. The Laurentians are fantastic. It's just, it's a wonderful place. It's too bad the bigotry is there predominantly. I mean,
So
even
many Frenchmen, it's a big problem.
my own family, they're just that way. Even when they come to visit, it's you have to listen to it, and it's like, please don't. But anyways, beautiful place, and I would love to spend more time with Delph, but she's amazing and doing her thing. So I'd like to get her back into this group again. She came.
Yeah, and even her video was really good. Like that's what I was impressed with, that track she released back, and I'm like, man, even the video was good. Like I was very impressed.
I'm still waiting on Vosto's track. I've been practicing singing every night, driving the family crazy, trying to get better control in my pitch, and so you don't have to go too crazy on pitching my voice.
Yeah. I'll do a track, no problem.
Peter, your cat he wants attention.
I've been busy with
Is he hungry? He wants
some
food?
stuff, but now I'm back.
She hates everybody in the house except me. So everyone else is asleep, so she comes out.
Oh, okay.
Vosto, if you get it,
20-year-old cat, this one.
Wow.
Really? Wow.
20 years.
Man,
Yeah, we've
pretty
brought in
healthy for a 20-year-old.
yeah, we brought her mother in freezing cold, and she gave birth. We brought her in. It was like -30. We went to a Christmas party. We came back, and she was still there 5 hours later. So we said, "Oh, come on in." And then she gave birth in the morning to 5 kittens, and that's one of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm allergic, so. Anyways,
so,
next track. Don't worry about my cat. She's very sexy, but Lenny, focus.
I'm focused. Yeah, I mean, we're at the point where either we call it or we continue. That's the way I look at it. So how are you guys feeling? You feel like, we want to go for the second tunes, or do you want to just ride it off into the sunset?
I don't have a second tune, but I really did appreciate listening to Tiny Bites. So if anybody else wants to share something like that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I shared a short song, a new one, which is drum and bass. So,
Hey, okay.
yeah, I mean, if we're
Sold.
yeah, I feel like, but yeah, I'm all for also ending early. My boys graduated junior kindergarten today, so you can imagine it's been very emotional.
Wow.
Well, let's give this one a listen, and we'll take it from there. How about that?
And it's very different from anything you do, Lenny. It's still right in that pop. It's
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not back to yours, because it's a totally different feel. So, and I'm working on it. So,
Hey, no worries, man. I appreciate you sharing anyway. So that's.
I wouldn't have done it without you. I don't think, Lenny. Honestly, I love drum and bass, and I was like, this guy makes drum. I'm gonna make one, because yeah. So there you go.
Nice. Well, let's give it a listen.
I won't leave you 'cause I love you. I will miss you if I let you. I will
Man, this guy even made drum and bass happy. Amazing.
Just curious, what key is that in, Peter? Do you know? Did you ever? You're on mute, by the way.
C minor.
Well, it is minor. Okay.
It's like a minor.
Actually,
Still happy.
no. Actually, no. I'm sorry. This is a different song. Excuse me. This is in A minor, and the vocals and the horns are in C major.
Oh,
That's the reason.
see, I was
excuse me.
sensing a major vibe. I swear to God, I was feeling.
Sorry,
why
I was thinking of something else. And yeah, and what happened was I did the song in C major because I had found the vocals that I liked, and we'll do it in C major. But the sub bass was just a little too high. It was just never thumping. So I thought, well, I'll try A minor. So all the instrumentals, everything I made is A minor, and then the vocals are C major. So
Okay.
Cool combo, man. I like the bass.
thank
I
you.
like the bass
Thank
and the beat.
Yeah, the saxophone layer.
Could be on a drum and bass radio.
Yeah.
Just
Thank you.
not a dark one though. Like general drum and bass radio.
Not a dark one, no. A very colorful
I mean,
one.
that's
Maybe
the thing
children's
about-
drum and bass.
Yeah, drum and bass covers all bases, right? You can go jazzy, you can go, tech step, neural, that kind of more pop,
Liquid.
liquid.
I've not heard
yeah.
vocals with it before, so that was.
Really?
There are a few.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there's
There
a
are
lot of
few there.
vocals in drum and bass.
Chase and
Yeah.
Status release a lot of songs with vocals.
Yeah, I
And-
mean,
and
it's interesting.
I think it works well. That the thing I'll say about drum and bass is you can have very simplistic. I'm just not saying that was, but like vocals that are just very simple lyrically, but it just works with drum and bass. Like you can get away with like very simplistic melody lines, I find personally, and you squeeze it into like that genre, and
Of course, because there's a lot going on. The drums are very frenetic, and there's a lot going on. So anything you add to that, I mean, if it's basic and it's helpful, yeah. I guess I mean, for me, I had it's mostly sub bass. I added something on the top, like I forgot, I don't know what to call it, but a little knock, like hard to describe, but a little knock
Right.
to make it sound like it hits.
like that.
But even the volume of it's just a straight sine wave, and I wanted to do a wobble bass, but I really couldn't find one that worked. But believe it or not, the volume of the sub it's actually I used Shaper Box to do the volume, and it's quite a bit like. So even though like when you hear the sub bass, it sounds like it just hits. Boom, boom, boom. There's actually quite a bit of volume variation throughout it, which makes it a little interesting. But I've been trying to cut back on the number of elements that I have, and to really make them shine and to make them do things. Yeah.
Set me apart from the other candidates was the Google.
This
I
guy watching
find-
videos.
Yeah, I find that
I thought we were
the
going to get
rule-
the presidential debate there for a second.
I think the rule of thumb for me, Peter, on that topic, is that if you remove the element, does it sound better? You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's what I think. I'm like, okay, I have this element there, but am I just throwing it in there, or is it actually essential, if you will, if that makes any sense, And I think your track has all good elements. Like I think that it passes that for sure. Like all the layers
Thank you.
sound good,
Yeah, this is the most recent one I'm working on, and I'm trying to have less. And as opposed to the first track I played, which is it's just layer upon layer. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm having a hard time transitioning to doing less with more, because more with less. Because what I'm end up doing is I'm doing less with less. And even though you might change the sub bass a little to make some interest, you don't have such as much of an interesting bridge or a break, and so.
I'll tell you one thing. One thing about drum and bass, which I don't think I'm shattering anyone's idea of it, but the intros, right, are extremely huge part of it, and the drop, So that track, maybe you could have like a really nice intro that really sets it up, and then boom,
Thank you. Yeah,
And one thing I'm really actually trying to I'm setting a goal for myself. I'm saying this to you, but I'm actually trying to achieve that because that's a huge part, like the risers and the energy builds and like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's easy to take for granted. I mean, I've been listening to drum and bass and you hear, oh, okay, these intros, but you realize how much time is spent when they do these intros. Like they're actually quite elaborate and
It takes a lot of work. I mean, this is a track I'm not done. This is the one I'm currently working on. So there's zero intro. You're jumping right into the chorus. I haven't done any work on the intro, and it lacks it. You miss it. You want somebody to start and go, oh, am I interested? And then hit them. But the other thing is with Spotify and all these other medias, it's like they're suggesting, and I think it's right. You need to hit something exciting within 15 to 20 seconds of that track starting. Like it's got to go now. So you do a bar or two of, and boom.
if you want to be on the lighter side, you could do a 16 bar intro, 22 seconds at 174 BPM, you know what I mean? And that's usually anything shorter than 16 bars is going to sound, you could do 8 bars, I guess, but
Yeah, I guess I just,
me personally as a DJ, I know Peter used to always say that he needs like a long outro and a long intro. I can work with like 4 bars, man. You know what I mean? Like that's good enough for me. But
well, that's
everyone,
kind of what I think I mean, it should, I guess I mean, I don't know if you've seen the kids nowadays, but on TikTok and all these things, I mean, their attention span is very short. And so
yeah,
you
yeah.
better
Actually,
hit
you
them
know
with
what?
that exciting part very early if you want to get,
Right.
that's kind
Sorry.
of where I'm taking
Just
it
to
from.
finish my thought though, that's the other thing about drum and bass is that it's usually, not always, going to be mixed in by a DJ. But at the same time, you want to make it listenable if someone's going to listen to it on its own, So it's kind of a balancing act there. But
Absolutely. And
uh,
yeah,
but I
I
just want to say the vast majority of drum and bass these days, I'm talking vast majority, is usually 32 bars, if not longer, even 48 bars, you know. Old drum and bass was like it could be like a 3-minute intro. You could have like, you know what I mean, like a really slow.
Oh, I remember being at the nightclubs and you have a live MC, and I mean, you could have infinite bars because this guy's going on and hyping everybody up, and it was a different thing. But yeah, my feeling is today it's probably 4 bars, 8 bars, like a little intro, and then hit them with the hook. Um, Not that I'm trying to be commercial. I mean, I guess I am, but I'm an absolute failure at that. But uh, I'm trying to make music where I guess, yeah, it's going to hook into the current generation, and I think that like 32, 48 bars, I mean, forget it. They're tuning right out. And
Really, eh? You don't think they're okay? I don't know. So
honestly, I don't know. I mean, I love all that stuff. I love long drum and bass. Like I'm trying to like I used to listen to Congo Natty and all those old like long. But nowadays, I just feel like people don't have the attention span. They just don't. Um, and in fact, there's research that indicates that
I
people
mean,
used to be able to look for 3 minutes at something, and today it's something like
I mean,
45 seconds.
we were talking about roller coasters earlier, right? And they even use the expression rollers. It really has that kind of, you have like that slow anticipation. You're going up, you're going slow, you know what I mean? And then you reach the top, and then it's like, you know what I mean? So it's that same experience, right? So for me, I love the intros. Like it's like really slow and it's like brooding, and right around the corner, you're gonna get like this massive drop, and you're just like the anticipation. You're like waiting and waiting, and when the person has done it right, you know what I mean? You get the payoff, and it's the satisfaction, right?
I'm with you.
If you just had the drop without the intro, it wouldn't have the same impact. You know what I mean? So.
I'm totally with you, and I'm
I'm not, I'm just,
experimenting.
it just, I'm just sharing a perspective, by the way. There's
Yeah,
really no right or wrong answer. I mean, we've been talking about these subjects in this meetup for a long time, and that's sort of one of the things I've always said. I know sometimes people get upset, if you will, or not upset, but they're passionate about their particular view and vision. There are rules, but I like to say that I want to know the rules so that when I'm breaking them, I know what rules I'm breaking, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's nice to know, kind of like, okay, here's the genre, here's kind of like how a lot of it is structured. But then, you know what? You can take that and throw it out the window and decide to do the opposite or do, you know what I mean? There's really no, it's
Absolutely.
just like writing, for example. Like you have syntax and formal English and you go to school and you learn everything. And then you read a book by James Joyce and it's like it's a mess, you know what I mean? And it's like it's all over the place. And I'm just picking that name out of, there could be all kinds of different ways to say this, but yeah. I don't think I don't think, I think it's like I'll just say again, there's really no wrong way, and you could be right. You could be like with the TikTok generation, short attention span. I mean, tracks are getting shorter and shorter, right? Drum and bass tracks have shrunk in length, definitely, man. I mean, you went from like
It's
8 minute, 9 minute tracks to like now 3 minutes, 2 minutes,
yeah.
2.5
I mean,
minutes.
I've been into drum and bass for 25 years, and nowadays most tracks are 2.5, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. They get to the point, they get in, they get out, and it's definitely a loss in a lot of ways. You don't get to sit there and vibe. Like nobody puts on I guess the long track is more you put on the record, you sit down with your friend, and you enjoy, and you just go through it, and that doesn't happen anymore. It's like here's a great track, it gets me pumped, and here look at this douchebag on YouTube eating a Tide Pod.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is an endless debate, and I always want to put a spin on the positive, which is to say it's nice that people are passionate about it. That means you care about it. You know what I mean? So I know there's the diehards, and I actually like a lot of the new drum and bass, and I used to face a lot of grief by people who are always like, oh, the old stuff is better. I'm like, look, man. Like there's great music being made every day. I mean, honestly. So, I'm an optimist.
The fact that anyone is making that style still is a testament,
It is a
because
testament.
styles die all the
True.
time.
True. It's a genre that has been around, what, 30 years now? Minimum,
Yeah.
35 years. So obviously it's here to stay. I mean, people might have thought it was just kind of like one of those genres that might come and go, but no, it's stuck around. And I think anyway, like dubstep, for example. Like dubstep had its real shining moment. Maybe it's still there for some people, but I feel like drum and bass, is kind of possibly going to outlast that personally.
God, I hope so, Lenny. I really do. I do not get dubstep. I get that it's it's the first time it's possible. I don't get it.
Hopefully
don't
this
find
isn't
it.
controversial. There's dubstep.
Well, it's very controversial. I say that now. You want to start a war?
Dubstep guy.
It's on. So I just think you didn't listen to the proper dubstep. I think you listened to Skrillex. That's the issue.
A lot of people
And
think
there's a lot of deep dubstep, which is what you should be searching for. And there are respected artists.
So I'm gonna search in the chat here. Do you think you could help us out?
Current Value, who is a neuro funk genius, he made dubstep that I personally think is some of the best, man. I'm gonna try to find it.
So artists like Truth, Leon Switch, maybe Biome. Start with these three.
Okay, I'll take a look. I had a downstairs neighbor who was into dubstep.
It has evolved, like the deep stuff has evolved, because you can't just have the same sound forever, but it's still there. And now it's starting to borrow elements from like the trap beats and bass.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fusing. It's interesting to me. It's still interesting to listen to. But my favorite era of the deep dubstep itself, which had to rename itself to deep dubstep because these guys started making dubstep in the mainstream that was sounding completely ridiculous. And there's some aspects in that sound design to appreciate too, and the mainstream stuff. And but the thing is, that's what a fad is. Like, it's gonna be a fad because with that type of sounds, they're gonna survive maybe 3 years, and so it went away. So that's why people don't know about this deeper stuff that was created in the background, which became the background, and before was the actual main genre.
Even Shades, the E-Prom and Alex Perez, man. I mean, some of their stuff is more like dub, but that's some dark dubstep stuff.
There's of course like a aggressive version, which is like dark step and whatever. But I think the artists that I mentioned are represent dubstep for what it used to be, like Leon Switch and Truth.
I'll check it out because it's a genre I've completely avoided.
Too.
It's gone over my head. But I also find what's really amazing is that the fact that like it wasn't capable 20 years ago. You couldn't make dubstep 20 years ago. They didn't have the software, and that the music that evolves over time has a lot to do with just what can artists do.
Actually, that's not. I mean, you might be thinking like 30 years ago because dubstep was around 20 years ago. Like,
yeah.
It's around. I started to listen to it
Around
since 2007. That's when I started to listen to it.
And
I was 17 back then.
Medicine, which goes way back, was way more than capable. It's just nobody really did it. And I think the closest person who did was Apex, was the one to
Aphex Twin, is that them?
And like they did, he did stuff in drums, ran it, processed his drums through that Medicine, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, but his sound isn't original though. It's his own thing though. Like you can't attach him to a genre.
Like when drum and bass split off into like tech step, dubstep was like a subgenre to me, like 2001, 2002, believe it or not. And then it just blew up and became it became actually more popular than drum and bass for a bit. And there was like a kind of friction between the two camps.
I went to festivals where they would play both.
I mean, it would annoy the hell out of me. If I expected drum and bass and I got dubstep, I'd be pissed off.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Check out those artists that I post if you want anyway.
Yeah.
Shades and Current Value. Those, I mean, actually the stuff that Vosto posted, you should check out.
I'm completely ignorant. So,
but the ones I posted are like, those are drum and bass producers making dubstep, and it's a really freaking cool type that I like personally. But hey, you know what? That's why we're here, man, to discuss things, and
How about you play my last song there?
All right, let's cap it off with.
It's not the best, but there's some experiment stuff worth listening to, and some atmospheres going on. Maybe you'll like it.
All right, let's give it a listen, guys. I'll set it up and. Yeah.
Very cool. I wanted to ask, it you have it seems like you have a consistent chord transition going on there. Do you? I guess. And the instruments are coming in. A lot of the instruments that are coming in have a sort of slow attack time. They kind of, even though they're coming right in, they don't get loud until the second beat. But so yeah, I guess what are the chord progressions? How do you stay within them during your melody? And are your melody elements, I mean, intentionally, do they have a slow attack?
I would say in this particular track, or in generally speaking, maybe it's generally speaking, uh, maybe the slow attack is because I want the kick to be heard. But it could also be the side chain affecting it. This track didn't really have much of a lead. It was a lead, right? But it was like a long note lead. If I use short notes, then I leave the attack. I like attack on short notes. It's more like a long note and I have slower attack so that you can still hear the action from the drums. And when it comes to the chords, I find a scale that I like. I don't know what it's called. I just play on the keyboard. If I find the scale for the bass, then I do that. I make sections. I make the intro thing, and then I make the first hook, like a refrain sort of thing. And then there's always like a pause in which I go back to the intro theme, or maybe add a little bit extra to it. And then in the second drop, I come with a different hook, but then go back to the initial hook to give this sensation that there is a track and
That it's coherent.
we have some
The
coherence going
illusion
on.
that there's a track. No, but you're saying that, but I think it's a great track.
Yeah,
I love that phrase. Though. We go back.
It had vocals. This track had vocals. I had my own vocals, but I removed them. I didn't like it that much, but it had like a ghostly kind of feel to it. And some of my friends will still have that song the way I made it, which has its own charm. But I just didn't like it. So the track is a bit empty without those vocals because the vocals were filling off the space of mid-high frequency range. So it was a more full track.
I could see how vocals would be welcome.
And then I had like a high pitched the vocals on top of that and like made them stereo so it would like completely fill the space and add more to the ghostly feel. But without that stuff, it's still okay Badlands Wasteland vibe, which is usually
for sure. Yeah, I like the sparseness of it, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, it works.
And when it comes to the melody structure, like okay, I make that bass. I find the bass initial scale, but then when it comes to finding the sounds for the lead or pads, but mainly the lead, I try to find like a counter melody to the bass. So I do something that feels a bit special, you know, at least in my head. Which again, I don't know exactly because I'm not a music theory guy. Even though I did 3 years of classical guitar, I forgot everything. And 3 years in classical guitars is nothing. I should do like 20 years, and then we're talking. But no, I'm a classic. I took some inspiration from classic education, maybe when it comes to how a track starts and how it ends, and how you playing with the dynamics and the melody. But I don't think about it in theory. I just use it in music.
You do that like
the electronic music
almost effortlessly. It sounds like when you do it. I mean, I'm sure it takes effort, but your music in general, you have that kind of flow going where it's like I don't know, you can just feel like it's like you're a natural at it. I don't know. That's how I feel when I hear
I'm a natural at building melodies that are melancholic and a bit dark, but puts me to make a happy melody, and then I can't do it, or get me to make a techno song that's all about making a repetitive minimalistic loop and then adding really small tricks and changes to add life to it. I can't do that. What I can do is do a little bit of sound design in my dark melancholic way of songwriting. So that's what I'm good at. That's what I'm
That's
good at.
fascinating, and I'm sure for you it's easier than doing, like you said, those small changes, because it's infuriatingly frustrating to listen to these house music tracks that have the slightest change every 8 bars, and you're like, man, this thing's awesome. And it's like you just added a close hi-hat every third, but you're doing
We we
so
we
much
we we, we
with
got to bring the other Peter in, man. We'll have like Peter versus Peter here, because we have another member
doing a
who,
happy
The
off.
techno guy.
yeah, he's like
He lives.
seriously into techno, and what he brings to the table, I'm telling you, it blows everyone away. I mean, he's I never quite appreciated that genre until I met him, and he sort of introduced me to some of the more like darker underground stuff. And I'm telling you, it's I mean, if you're passionate about something and you love it, it makes sense that you're going to be good at doing it. But yeah, he comes to the table with like some seriously good stuff, and a lot of the time it's very industrial. And sorry, Tiny Bites, you wanted to
No,
jump in?
okay. I love the Peter. He's still using Live Light. Like he writes all his tracks in Live Light, like the most basic version, and then he uses Rolling Cloud for the obviously the 808, 909s, 303s. But this guy travels the world just to go to listen to techno. Like one minute he's in Berlin, next minute he's in the Bermuda Triangle. Like,
Well,
he
bring him in. Yeah,
his
it's
wife,
amazing.
his wife, I think it was you, Lenny, who said his wife is more techno than he is.
Yeah, she's a purist. He always mentions it, and like they're what's that word I'm looking for? But they're purists, like, and snobs almost, elitists when it comes to the world of tech. There's business techno, they told me. Like this is a term I didn't even know about, but that's like kind of like mainstream stuff. It's like, okay. And then there's like, like the underground. But even then, even regionally, he was saying, and when he traveled to Europe, certain parts had a different kind of sound. But
Yeah.
he spends a lot of time just on the rumble bass. I know a lot of people in techno, it's all about the rumble. There's
Yeah.
that effect, right, with the big, the
You
giant
smear
speaker,
the kick
you
drum,
know.
yeah,
And then
I
obviously
love rumble bass.
not everyone, but a lot of people are like, on a psychedelic journey, you know what I mean? So there's all kinds of an experience going on, even above and beyond, like the normal state of consciousness, right?
I wouldn't
So
know anything about that.
me neither. I'm just
Like,
talking about this in the theoretically. But no, I'm just saying, yeah, and it's like I can appreciate like again, sometimes it sounds like simplistic, but then you hear it and it's like, wow, you know what? And but anyways, well,
it
guys,
has it has so much to do with the quality of the sounds, and that's something I'm trying to move towards, is just make everything you have make sound really good, because like, yeah, you can add 15 things and layer them and they all kind of mask each other and sound great. But if you just take like 3 things and make them really pop, like that's it's difficult. Like it's not easy to have the four on the floor with an open hi-hat sound like something you want to listen to. For the most part,
a-
it sounds like
a-
cheesy shit.
and also, well, and it's also the DJ mix too, right? That's the other extremely truthful for techno of all genres. Like you're not going to just listen to a techno song beginning to end for 9 minutes and be, oh, okay, I'll go, and you might, but I'm just saying more often than not, the DJ is going to be telling a story with his
Yeah.
selection, right? And it's and actually another thing he mentioned to me, like with the bigger type festivals with many rooms going, it's like that short attention span thing, like each DJ gets a 1 hour set and it's like bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? You can't spend time because you got people coming in and out. And if they come in and it's like not vibing the way they want, they'll just walk to the next room, right?
You've got about
Where-
75 seconds to hit a drop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but whereas he's saying, he preferred to do like a longer set, like a 2 hour set, for example, where you can take your time, and you have a different kind of so that was sort of his. And we did some live events, and I had the pleasure of listening to Peter do a 2 hour set at Baseline, and I'm telling you, man, it was top notch. Like,
Yeah.
I felt
I love that
spoiled.
stuff. Nice.
But if you want a tip for you want to attempt to write that, you need to set your synths in mono, so only one note can be touched on the keyboard at a time. Limit yourself to 4 voices, not and you don't have to include your drums in that, but you can, and start there.
Hmm.
Mono,
What if,
4
what
voices.
about if you were doing like I love hardstyle music, which is happy hardcore, like
Same thing.
where
Same
they
thing.
do
Happy Heart
massive saws and everything. You're
Days.
talking 4 voices on each one, or
Yeah. Well, the back in the day, Happy Hardcore, for example,
like Scott Brown and
European, so
Casey.
pretty much Korg MS, 707, a Korg MS 20 was common. That kind of and that was pretty much it. And of course, the 303, if they could get their hands on one, but a lot of them would use the Korg or any of the MS series. It all depended, but and of course, it was guitar pedals, and everything, as you'll see, was mono. A crazy, crazy band was, they were, what the heck were they called? Prototype 909 was insane. They were an SH-101, 909, some pedals, mixer, stuff, and of course the 303. And yeah, Prototype 909 was insane, but you got to look for if you find something dark, there's another group that calls themselves Prototype 909 somewhere in the mix, but they're just young nothings. These guys are straight out of Detroit. Like, they're pretty much the darkness of darkness. They were there were a couple DJs that got together and created this Prototype group, but I got to see them once, and that was just insane. Just wires all over the table, some simple little things, and they were just tweaking the shit out of things. But anyway, keep it simple, mono, stick with 4 track, like 4 in there, and
Or unison or 4 tracks.
no, just four simple tracks, one note at a time. That like the old school. So it's like when
And that's for the super saw for tracks. I'm sorry.
for example, that track that I played, uh, that was literally, you could only have one note down at a time. You could not play 2 notes at a time, which is where the energy comes from.
Monophonic, basically, right?
It was, so you could have 4 tracks, so you would have 4 individual notes or 4 individual instruments, but they were mono. And therefore, when you went from key to key, every one would cut the other out.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
That's where
Anyway, guys, we'll keep this discussion going in Zoom, but I'm going to go ahead and kill the live stream. I'm going to play the intro again before I kill the live stream, so I'm going to throw it on mute here for a few minutes, and then we can resume talking if you want, okay? And thanks for everyone who's watching. Appreciate, the support.